Hello and welcome to Family Reviewing. This is episode numero uno. I'm David Cameron. This is my daughter,
Esmé Cameron.
And today we're going to talk about
The Life of a Showgirl
by
Taylor Swift.
And we're not always going to do this where I start a sentence and
I finish it.
But anyway, we're going to talk through various things, but mainly the songs and mainly in the order in which they appear in the album, because we don't have any more imagination than that. First of all, what do you think about, Esme, what do you think about the cover?
I personally love the cover. Some people have been saying that they really don't like it, but I really love the imagery. It definitely looks like Ophelia, sort of drowning. Right.
Okay. Can you just basically describe? I mean, I know a lot of our listeners will have seen it, but some won't have, like your gran.
Yeah. Shout out to gran. Well, basically, Taylor Swift is sort of lying in a bathtub in like a showgirl, sparkly silver outfit, makeup on, hair done. It's kind of after the Eras tour almost, where it's behind the scenes of being a showgirl, which is what the album is about. And there's kind of fragments behind her, almost like reflecting glittery or like shards of glass, maybe.
Yeah.
And
of course, this links to Ophelia because, I mean, you know your Shakespeare inside out, don't you, Esme?
Yes, I do.
So this is from the play Hamlet, and Ophelia is Hamlet's lover, and he lets her down not only by kind of seeming to reject her because he thinks he's rejected by her, but also by murdering her father, which wasn't very nice of him.
Oh, no.
And that she goes mad, basically, and she maybe drowns herself, or her mind's away and she drowns. So that's the background to Ophelia. And it links nicely to the very first track on the album, which is
The Fate of Ophelia.
I was actually going to say it out loud myself.
I'm finishing your sentences.
Do we like this song, first of all?
To me, when I first listened to it, this was actually my favourite song. Since has changed, but I love it.
Oh, since has changed.
Since has changed, we'll discuss
Interesting, right? It was my favourite too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope we're not going to agree too much in these podcasts.
We won't.
I'm pretty sure we won't. But yeah, I think it's a really catchy tune.
Yeah.
To sound really cheesy, it's a catchy tune. It's interesting lyrically. It's quite interesting. I've heard it said that that Taylor Swift obviously hadn't read the play Hamlet, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
Don't agree.
Because when you're making like a comparison there with a character, like it doesn't mean that you have to be identified with every aspect of that person's character or fate or whatever, you know. So Taylor Swift isn't this passive as Ophelia. She's a real kind of victim, but there are certain resemblances. So I just want to quote, a couple of lines, then I'll be quiet.
Go ahead.
So she sings, "You dug me out of my grave and saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia." So it's about, she identified with Ophelia. What she talks about, she said, drowned and, betrayed and drowning, something like that, anyway. So then she meets the love of her life. I think we know who that is. And she feels rescued from that fate. Anyway, that's what I took from it.
Yeah. And also, I thought was very interesting was, she actually talked about this recently on an interview, but it seriously takes me back to the song Love Story, which is on her album Fearless, one of her most famous songs, where she's talking about the story of Romeo and Juliet and reflecting how she's kind of Juliet in her own life, but changes the fate so that they're alive and stay together. And it's kind of exactly what she did here by using Shakespeare's Hamlet and turning it around, changing the ending to match her own story.
Right. Okay, well, I'm going to totally rely on you for these parallels.
Yeah. I'm the Swiftie here.
Yeah, you're the Swiftie. Can I just say something I just noticed? Because I was thinking, when we're talking about her, should we say Taylor Swift? Should we say Taylor? Should we say Swift? Normally in criticism, you use the artist's surname, right? So we say Swift. And it was only when I thought about that, I thought, what a great name, Swift. Because I always think of her as Taylor Swift. But I love Swift, and I was thinking of Jonathan Swift, the writer. Jonathan Swift, he wrote Gulliver's Travels. You've heard of that.
Course, yeah.
And there's an Australian singer-songwriter who's very good called Emma Swift. But anyway, Swift is, and then I was thinking of, well, where does Swift come from? And look at a little bit of the the genealogy, Taylor Swift genealogy, and I was thinking, is it an Irish name? There is some Irish
Really?
blood,
Yeah.
but she has Scottish blood on both sides.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah. And do you know who she has connected to?
Who?
American poet Emily Dickinson.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I love Emily Dickinson, so that's obviously where she derives her lyrical talent from.
Yeah, she's our English teacher.
Yes, yeah. What did she say? She has a line about that.
No, basically,
it was an interview, wasn't
in
it?
her engagement post, she basically described her and Travis as her being the English teacher and him being the PE teacher, which I thought was very cute. Because he's obviously the sporty one. She's the lyric genius. So
I don't know, but to call somebody you love like a PE teacher,
it's quite funny. I love she definitely blends Shakespearean language and modern language. For example, "'Tis locked inside my memory." 'Tis very Shakespearean.
Right.
But then she also says, like, your team, your vibes, pledge allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibes, which is very modern and sort of fun, which is definitely a blend between those two. She also said that she felt sort of the same rush and the same excitement creating the song for the Fate of Ophelia as You Belong With Me, which Swifties will know You Belong With Me. It's one of her most iconic songs. So definitely musically, it's the biggest one right now from the album. And I think it probably resonates with the most people. It's a pop banger, you know what I mean?
A pop banger, right? You took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, now leading on to, because I think it's actually a nice transition from Ophelia, Fate of Ophelia, to a song called Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, yes.
Now, there's real contrast here. As I said, Ophelia is very passive. Elizabeth Taylor, if you don't know, you probably do, is a very famous actress. She was feisty, glamorous, kind of exuded power, a powerful woman, but maybe a bit vulnerable too, because she was so open to love. I don't know, how many times was she married?
I can't remember. I think it's 7?
Eight times. She was married 8 times, but twice to the same man, which was the Welsh actor, great actor, Richard Burton. And that's referenced in the lyrics of this song. There's a little couple of lines at the beginning that says, Elizabeth Taylor, what's the next line?
Do you think it's forever?
Do you think it's forever?
Yeah.
Don't you think it's a bit funny to be invoking a woman who was married 8 times when you've met the love of your life, who you're going to marry, and you're asking her, do you think it's forever?
That's quite funny. But I think maybe the reason that she resonates with Elizabeth Taylor is because they're both sort of known as, like, by the media, they're labeled as serial daters, and it's kind of all the focus and attention is brought to the people they've dated instead of their art and their incredible work. She also said that, like, Elizabeth Taylor is one of her number one role models. Like, she really, and like, listening to the song, even you mentioned, you thought, it's interesting that there aren't that many lines about Elizabeth Taylor, but I thought about it, and I think all the lines are about many of the lines are about both of them, Elizabeth Taylor and Taylor Swift.
Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
I've just got it.
Yeah.
Didn't get that at all. Right. And yeah, I looked this up because it starts with that view of Portofino was on my mind. And I didn't know if she was, if Swift, I'll call her Swift, was taking this from her own life. Maybe she was. But when I looked it up in relation to Elizabeth Taylor, that's apparently in Portofino, which is a little seaside village in Italy, where Richard Burton proposed to her. I don't know if this was the first time or the second time or however many times he proposed to her. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. And then I like that because it seems like, she's been so sophisticated in mentioning Portofino, blah, blah, blah. But then the next line comes, oftentimes it doesn't feel so glamorous to be me.
Oh, I love that line.
That's nice because it's like there's the image, the impression you have, what the fans project onto her, their feelings onto her. But actually she's saying it's not really all that glamorous to be me.
Yeah.
And I guess it wasn't all that glamorous to be Elizabeth Taylor, though that's kind of hard to believe. What do we think of it just as a piece of music?
Musically is definitely my favourite on the album. I think people who love Reputation will know that whenever it starts off quite slow and piano-y and then it goes into that chorus and it's just really Reputation. And I just love that moment. My jaw dropped when I first listened to it. It's definitely my favourite on the album.
I like it too. And I think I maybe even like it a bit better than the Ophelia song
Fate
too.
of Ophelia.
So it feels like starts off, I said, with a banger, pop banger, getting even better. So we're off to a really strong start. Is that strong start sustained, do you think, in the next track?
I love Opalite. Opalite is definitely one of my favourites. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's a very sweet song.
And what's it about?
It is about her and Travis, obviously. Also, she did talk about how the song being named Opalite, I actually thought was interesting because you'd think she'd be talking about opal. But instead she says opalite, which are actually a man-made opal. Mm-hmm. And she kind of said it was sort of a metaphor about like making your own happiness and how her and Travis isn't just fate. It isn't just like luck. It's like they worked hard for their love and they did this together. And also, opal is Travis's birthstone, which I think is interesting as well.
I thought this had a really, I shouldn't use words like catchy. It seemed like old man talk when talking about music. But the chorus is really catchy, and I really liked musically I like this song. I'm not sure about how much you should go into an artist's biography, but I think it's very difficult with Taylor Swift because all the Swifties talk about this. She brings up a lot of personal stuff, I think. Do you not think? Like in interviews and stuff. And she's been asked a lot of personal stuff. So we know a lot about her life, and there's no point pretending we don't. But I guess when we're reviewing other stuff, we might not know too much about the artist. There is, this was something I found out when I Googled this, was that there's a bit of throwing shade. Now, there's one of the song in this album that is really throwing shade.
Oh, yes, somebody. I'm excited.
Well, okay, I said not get ahead of ourselves here. But do you know about the throwing shade on Kelsey's ex?
I did actually notice that, but tell me more about it because I can't remember exactly the line. But I did actually pick up on that.
There's something about it was that she was in her phone.
Yes.
There's some video where he's getting annoyed with her. She's on her phone. And he's like, "Oh, can we go?" kind of thing. And yeah. I've written down one line which I like here, which is, "You're starving till you're not."
Oh, I love that line as well.
Anything else that you've picked out from about that song?
One thing I will say that kind of annoys me almost is that the chorus, whenever she goes, "Oh, oh, oh," it does sound like a Christmas song. And I can't get that out of my head. It does sound like a Christmas song.
I really wish you hadn't told me that because now I can't unhear it.
Yes.
But it actually reminds me of it. Is it a Christmas song? But there's Boney M, which is a band you probably haven't heard of.
No.
What's that, from the 70s or something? 80s? 70s, I think. "Oh, my Lord."
Oh, I did notice that actually.
Right? Yeah.
I thought it was very similar.
So yeah, that's and I mean, I haven't got into all the like musical parallels, resemblances. You get this thing where people accuse her of plagiarism sometimes, but very often I think it's unfair. Sometimes she's deliberately, and she's not exactly sampling, is she? But she's referring to other music sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times it's simple like chord progressions that can appear in 100 songs.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, pop music is not always going to sound so diverse, and that's okay. But one thing I actually love this line. "I had a bad habit of missing lovers past. My brother used to call it eating out of the trash," which I thought was funny. She has to throw shade at an ex. It is Taylor Swift after all, and I support it.
The next two tracks, one is about a father, and it has father in the title, and the next following one is about daughter. So I think that's very relevant.
Yep.
For some reason.
Very much similar to us.
At first listen, when I was first listening to the album, I wasn't looking at lyrics. I wasn't necessarily absorbing all that. I thought, that's clever. She's actually calling herself a father figure. That's a nice wee gender twist. But then when I listened a bit more closely, looked at the lyrics, and then of course realised that the words that are being sung are as if spoken by like a record executive.
Yes. So
like it's out of his mouth. But I wasn't totally wrong, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think later, would you agree that later in the song it sort of becomes, it is actually Taylor, I'm saying Taylor now, Swift. It is actually Swift singing from her perspective.
Oh, yeah.
That she has become, she's like turned the tables on this record executive. Maybe we should say a wee bit more.
I have information. I know
right,
as
go.
a Swiftie, the background. So basically, she's talked about this, obviously, in interviews and also picking up on it. It's kind of written from the perspective of the mentor to, like, the protege. And Taylor, definitely, I feel like she can resonate with both. I think when I first listened to the song, I was actually almost confused. I was thinking, oh, like, as long as you give me your loyalty, I was like, is that a little bit harsh? But actually, I think the song must be, and I'm going to name drop, about Scott Borchetta, who was the CEO of Big Machine Records, who sold his label along with Taylor's masters to Scooter Braun,
right?
Which is obviously a big
hang on. What are the chances we could get sued here?
Well, we can. Well, we're not going to get sued. Everyone talks
no
about
money
it.
anyway. Doesn't matter.
We have no money. What are we going to give them?
We live in a hole in the ground, by the way.
You know what? It is true events. It happens, and everyone's talking about it.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
These are true events.
She did this really elaborate thing, didn't she, where she was re-recording her albums, which is quite extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And then she didn't re-record them all because she actually got ownership of her music again.
Yeah,
isn't that right?
That's true. Very recently, actually, which I was so excited when I saw that had happened. That was amazing. Such a win.
Esmé, there might be a few older listeners, probably not. But so I'm going to drop the occasional reference or allusion, whatever that you. Well, you've heard of the band Pink Floyd, haven't you?
Of course.
Right. All right. Of course. So that's good. So this song reminds me of a Pink Floyd song called "Have a Cigar," and it's that similar thing of record executives, "Come in here, dear boy, have a cigar. You're going to go far." Quite witty. Like I think Swift songs are quite witty. See the bit where I don't know if you have do you have the lyrics in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Where do you think it actually switches to? It's Swift talking and not the executive.
I think it gets to this part. You had to get rid of me. I protect the family. I was your father figure. We drank that brown liquor. And then it kind of changes because, I don't know, at that point it's later on in the song, and it kind of switches perspective.
Okay, and now here's a 1970s reference, but you might actually pick up on it yourself because I know you know this. Do you see a reference to The Godfather in this song?
Where?
You don't.
Oh,
what?
Is it about drinking liquor, or is it
No.
kissing the mahogany grain, paying the check before kissing the mahogany grain?
No. Sleeps with the fishes.
Before you know you're drowning.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favourite lines. That gave me chills when I listened to that part.
Do you not remember, because I've subjected you to The Godfather. Do you not remember when they're looking for the kind of, what's his name, the bodyguard guy, you know,
Yes.
And then it comes and he's got his like a bulletproof vest and it's wrapped on this fish inside, and he says he sleeps with the fishes because they killed him. So there you go. There's a reference to Godfather. So eldest daughter, you're my eldest daughter.
Yes.
You're my only daughter.
I am the eldest daughter.
Yes. And you have two brothers, but let's not make this too
they're
personal.
not daughters.
No. Well, wait a minute, because eldest daughter, this is another reference to our man, isn't it? Because there's a reference to the youngest son in this too.
And he's the youngest, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be a grammar Nazi here. I'm not going to be a Nazi at all, so I'll edit that out too.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. We can't get cancelled first episode.
No! Elder, because... or does she have any sisters?
I don't know. She just has a brother, I think.
All right.
Yeah, Austin.
Right. So anyway, okay. And I think he only has... Does he have one sibling?
Older brother. Yes, older brother.
So it should be younger, not youngest. Anyway, we'll let her away with this because, she's allowed to bring a wee bit of fiction in. So what's the idea of the lyric of the song? What's the message here? Is there a message?
Honestly, I actually struggled when I first listened to it to get past some of the lyrics and to delve into the message, really. But I actually think it is kind of about her experience as an eldest daughter, and like also comparing how different it is being in a relationship with somebody who's the youngest, seeing how much that impacts your life and your personality and their relationship. I think it's quite interesting. What did you take away from it?
Yeah, I don't have the lyrics in front of me. Maybe that's something I should rectify. You're showing me.
Yeah. All
right. Okay. There's something about, what's it say about the eldest daughter? Every eldest daughter was the first lamb to the slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Like that.
Love that line.
Very good line. And there's a line in it, normally a line like, I'm never going to leave you now, in a pop song, is born of like youthful naivety. But what I find quite touching here is that she's singing that out of experience. So she's had the experience of all these other men, and that's now she knows that this is a real love that she thinks is going to last, and she's not going to leave him now. Okay. And I also like the rhyme of bad bitch and savage.
Yeah, I thought that was very funny. That's the part that kind of reminds me of the song White Horse, because I'm not a princess and this ain't a fairy tale. It sounds very similar musically, which I thought was funny.
Do you want to sing a wee bit?
No!
I'm
not singing. But also, I also had written down the songs I find it similar to, which is You're on Your Own Kid. It's very You're on Your Own Kid coded.
Where's that from? You're on Your Own Kid?
You're on Your Own Kid is Midnights. So is this...
it's a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, yes. All Taylor Swift.
Uh-huh.
Also, from You're Losing Me and I Wouldn't Marry Me Either is very similar to When I Said I Don't Believe in Marriage, That Was a Lie from Eldest Daughter, which I thought was interesting. She definitely has a fascination with marriage throughout her career, especially Paper Rings as well on Lover is very much about marriage and stuff. So it's really sweet to see that she's fulfilling that dream now.
Right, very good. This takes us from marriage to friendship, and friendship that doesn't turn into anything more than friendship, which is actually a source of regret to her when the friend she discovers has died.
Yeah.
And then she says that she wishes that she had ruined the friendship. In other words, she'd taken it a step further. She'd kissed the boy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a little bit, when I first was listening, I said not totally tuning in, a bit of a throwaway kind of, here's a pop song, but it's a bit cleverer than that, and it's a bit emotionally deeper than that. I think if you just had a song where she's singing my advice is to always ruin the friendship, that would seem like a really selfish sentiment, maybe even a bit narcissistic. But in the context of somebody having died...
Yeah, which actually did happen.
Yeah, it did happen, yeah. So it's a sad song.
The main thing about this is probably lyrically, and also, when I was listening to it, at first I kind of thought, this is a sweet song, it's kind of throwback to high school. I was kind of shaking my head a bit when she said, but your girlfriend was away. I was like, we're not doing that. We're not interfering with relationship. But it's kind of a plot twist later in the song when we realize that she's talking about someone who's passed away. And I think it's really an emotional song. It definitely made me cry after listening to it.
It made you cry?
Yeah.
Did any of the other songs make you cry?
Not really. Not like this song did. I think it's the most... Even though track 5, Eldest Daughter, is very emotional, I don't relate to Eldest Daughter as much. Technically, I am the eldest daughter, but I'm not the eldest child, so I guess I didn't really relate to it as much.
Okay, fair enough.
But this one was very sweet. Very sad, actually.
I can say factually that I didn't cry while listening to the album.
Yeah.
But I did find that get a wee bit of a... did affect me emotionally once I actually realised the context of the song. The next one is... This is so controversial that there was even an article, I think, in the Guardian of the Independent, just about this track, which is called Actually Romantic. And don't think we're going to be sued because everybody's talking about it, is that here we have Throwing Shade Again, this time directed at...
Charlie XCX, possibly, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Who is quite a famous British singer-songwriter, pop singer. And they were didn't Taylor Swift kind of give her break, really? Didn't she support her on a tour?
Actually, in, I think this was 2018, Charlie XCX opened on Taylor's Reputation tour. And at first, that was very sweet and interesting. It seemed like they were supporting each other. She did kind of throw shade a little bit, did Charlie at the time, kind of saying it felt like, and now this is not a direct quote, but sort of the essence of it felt like I was sort of singing in front of a crowd of 5-year-olds, which was funny, but some obviously Swiftie army was going after her. She actually made a tweet or something apologizing, just saying that she's used to the 18 plus sort of crowd.
Right, yeah.
So that didn't seem to really stir up things. But later on, we kind of see, we can talk about Sympathy as a Knife a little bit. Okay,
that's the song, that's Charlie XCX's song, which does reference, or is all about, I'm not sure, Taylor Swift. And I think the gist of the article I was reading was that Charlie XCX's song is actually quite nuanced, subtle, and it's not just an attack, whereas this seems like a bit of a mean attack by Taylor Swift, so it's not as somehow not as sophisticated. I don't think we should get hung up on artists expressing negative emotions. I think it's totally valid, and if we're going to censor ourselves, we do censor ourselves in daily lives. Okay, we don't just, we might be thinking something horrible at somebody, but we're smiling and saying something nice, and that's not hypocrisy. This is everything would fall apart if we didn't censor ourselves. But in art, at least, let's be able to unburden ourselves, to actually show ourselves, paint ourselves in not necessarily in a good light. And I think that's what's happening here, and I think it's totally fine. Taylor Swift's kind of attack, if you like, isn't based solely on that song. This isn't just a response to Charlie XCX's song right from the beginning, because she says, I heard you call me boring Barbie when the Cokes got you brave. So obviously, and then there was the connection. Charlie XCX is married to a member of, is it?
Yeah, George from the 1975, which is where Maddie Healy, Taylor Swift's ex. Yeah,
so obviously they're hearing stories about, she said this about you, or wait till you hear what she said and reply. So she's not just complaining about the song, which is, totally fine for Charlie XCX to have written that song, and it's also totally fine for Taylor Swift to have written that song.
I don't want to see any Swifties going after Charlie XCX, because in my opinion, it is totally okay for Charlie to write a little bit of, a bit sort of petty lyrics. I mean, there were petty lyrics in her song, even though it was nuanced, saying, I don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show, and fingers crossed behind my back, I hope they break up quick.
Oh, that's mean.
It does sound mean, but it's totally fine for her to write about her feelings, and same with Taylor, and I don't think either of them should be getting backlash. I mean, I love both of them as artists.
And let me just go back to Jonathan Swift. Jonathan Swift was a master of negative emotions.
Yeah.
Okay? He was a satirist. So I think that's in the blood too. Moving on to the next song, which is Wish List, was actually kind of struck me quite musically when I first heard it. I like there's a lot of irony in Swift.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
And Wish List, you think of Wish List, it's item A, item B, item C. But actually, what she's saying is, I just want you.
Yeah.
That's
very
a wish
sweet.
list. One item on the wish list is you. This, to me, is not high school, but this is like the typical American dream of married life, especially that line, got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. Did you take from it that she's desiring this life, or is it basically saying, could wish for all these things, wouldn't that be nice, couple of kids, all that, but actually just want you, or at this moment in time, just want you?
I actually think through the song, I noticed on an interview she was talking about it, that wish list is kind of, it's not really based in real life totally. It's kind of the fantasy that she goes back to when she's stressed or she's not feeling it. It's kind of like her happy place, her fantasy. It's not exactly real life, but it's very sweet. She even said, which I thought was very funny, about the basketball hoop line, I've learned about sports for this man. Which
well, that's
I would
true
never
love.
do. That's true love.
Yeah.
True love.
Can you imagine watching a football match for some guy?
No. Would never happen.
A little bit of personal revelation here, where this is a Celtic supporting family.
Not me.
And when your brothers, I was taking your brothers to Celtic matches, just not very often, because we're living in a different country. But you wanted to go too, and I said, well, same thing applies to you as applies to your brothers, which is if you can sit through a whole football match, then and watch it on telly, then I'll take you to the game. And you nearly did it.
Well, my brother distracted me.
No. It was a Celtic Rangers game. It was a big match, very exciting. And you got to half time where we had green jelly with white ice cream.
Of course. Classic.
Yes. So why am I telling the listener all about this?
Funny.
This is because what would you do? What would you give up, or what would you take an interest in for your beloved? And she's taken an interest in sports.
Yeah.
So, very good. She doesn't mention white picket fence. That's the kind of normal thing that you hear when That's not line, is it?
No.
All right.
I will actually say about this song, though, I actually saw criticism about it, saying that it's sort of anti-feminist, which I thought was interesting as a feminist myself. I do not agree, because she's allowed to express the fact that she wants to have kids and settle down, and it's not that she's saying she's going to destroy her career and be a housewife. No, everyone is entitled to want to have children, to want to have that life. I'm sure there are times where she thinks, I would just love to get away from it all and just run off into the sunset with you. Although she has actually talked about she will never stop writing, at least, or making music, whether she releases it or not. So I don't think anyone has to worry that she's going to settle down, have kids, and never come back to the world. I don't think that's going to happen.
Can you imagine that?
Honestly, I would love to see an 80-year-old Taylor doing an album like Folklore or Evermore, where it's sort of slower, more lyricism. I mean, she would have the time. She'd probably be writing all the time, and sort of those clever lyrics. I think that would be very sweet. But honestly, we don't know. Maybe she will go off the grid and never write again, but I doubt that. To be honest, that doesn't seem like her. If she did, that would be 100% okay. That's her choice. But
yeah, I mean, there's some very moving footage there of Joni Mitchell, who's not young, and she's great. She's superb, and I think that Taylor Swift has a talent. Okay, maybe not as strikingly original as Joni Mitchell's, but she has that talent. She can play guitar, she can sing well, she can write really interesting lyrics. So I think this is a career that could be lifelong, and not just singing the old hits. There's a track here which we're not going to go into in depth, maybe for obvious reasons, because it's a parental advisory lyric. I think it's Wood, and what can you say? It's Swift in playful mood, and she's allowed to be.
Yes.
You did say something which I can't verify, because I don't know her work well enough, but you said you felt it was more like Sabrina Carpenter, this track.
Very much, yeah. Sabrina Carpenter, the way the lyrics are quite sort of cheeky and funny and controversial, is very much like Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, we know they're friends. They've collaborated on the last song on this album. I also think, there's also parts of Wood that definitely talk about superstitions, and Taylor Swift is someone who I think throughout her career has represented how she is very superstitious, using the number 13 all the time. She's very interested in numerology.
Which is lucky for her and unlucky for most.
Yeah. But see, for example, the lyrics, Penny's unlucky, I took him back, obviously, lucky Penny. And then I stepped on a crack and the black cat laughed, which I thought was funny. And then fingers crossed until you put your hand in mine, obviously crossing her fingers for luck. Wishing on a falling star never did me any good, and I ain't got to knock on wood. So obviously she's talking about these superstitions and how they haven't served her, really.
Esmé, I just introduced us by saying, here's a song we're not going to say much about, and you've just said a whole lot of good stuff about it, actually. And then it robs me of the chance to say, moving swiftly on.
Oh, moving swiftly on.
Swiftly on.
Swiftly on.
Here's the title of this song is what we're going to be after this podcast.
What?
Cancelled.
Yes.
So, cancelled. Beware the wrath of masked crusaders is a line I've got. Now, I quite like that. That is another way of saying the keyboard warriors, I think. Another irony is much in evidence in this, in the line, good thing I like my friends cancelled. Without going into all the biographical details, it does refer back to a time where she felt cancelled, didn't she?
Yeah, she was sort of during Reputation era. There was a time where people sort of saw her as a snake.
What should an artist, a musician, write about when they become famous? Right. So, if they write about their life of fame and being cancelled and social media and the rest of it, it can get a little bit like too much distance between the artist and the listener, their lives, because their lives are completely different. But if they just ignore the fact that their lives are totally different now, and they don't write about that, then that's not very authentic either. What do you think about that?
I will say, Cancelled is probably one of my main criticisms for the album. This is my least favourite song on the album.
Right.
And I can confidently say that. Maybe because it doesn't quite maybe resonate right now. I do like what she's saying, sort of all her friends being cancelled. There is definitely a thing within like cancel culture, which is way too dramatic and sort of cancels people for every little thing. Did love the sound though. Love the sound. Very Reputation.
Okay, yeah, well. But here's a song the next song is one that it's really easy to miss, I think, in the first listen. It's kind of a minor song, I think, but I think it's one of the ones that really benefits most from several listens, and it's Honey.
Yeah.
What do you think about Honey?
I absolutely love Honey. When I first listened to it, it didn't stand out to me. I sort of thought, oh, this is sweet, cute little love song. But now that I've listened to it, she sounds so in love in the song. And it's one of my favorites. It's one of my most re-listened to ones on the album, I would say. What are your thoughts on it?
Thoughts is too strong a word.
Thoughts?
I'm not sure I have thoughts on it, other than that having listened to it a few times, I think, I quite like that. Musically, quite like it. But and I've only got written down one line, you could be my forever nightstand, honey, which is, even in a very simple, lyrically simple, there's always a little bit of wordplay in Taylor Swift, which I appreciate.
And also, I would like to say, I think the standout part of the song is not necessarily the chorus, but rather the part where she goes, but you touch my face, redefine all of those blues when you say, honey. Like, when she says, when you touch my face, the way she says it is so in love and so sweet. Like, you can definitely see her and Travis. Yeah, I love it. I love this song. I think it's not like the most lyrically, or the concept isn't like very out there, but I just think it's a very sweet song.
Very sweet song, and that's fine because it's honey.
It's honey.
Honey
it doesn't have to be that deep.
Honey is sweet. So, the title track, The Life of a Showgirl, featuring Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes.
The aforementioned Sabrina Carpenter. This should be, you would imagine, being the title track and all, and having Sabrina on it. This should be the standout track. Is it the standout track, do you think?
I would say I don't think it has been quite as popular as I anticipated, but it is one of my favorites. I will say it's not as maybe like catchy pop as maybe the Fate of Ophelia, but I love the lyrics. I love the message. I think it's very funny, and I think Sabrina fits so well into this song. I mean, I can tell. And Taylor's even talked about how she kind of did have Sabrina in mind when she was writing the song. You know, the lyrics are very much Sabrina. It's very funny. There's also a part of the song which I think it's very musical theater. Yeah. Like, from the part where it's like, I took her pearls of wisdom, hung them from my neck. I paid my dues with every bruise. I knew what to expect. It's kind of like Hamilton. We watched Hamilton recently.
Yeah, we went to the cinema to see the film of the Broadway performance of Hamilton, and it did strongly remind me of that. I don't have much to say about this, except I'm going to say there's a line in which she says, I'm immortal now.
Oh, yes.
And I really want to know, is this a conscious reference by Taylor Swift to Glasgow Celtic Football Club when Celtic were the first British team to win the European Cup?
Obviously not.
The manager of Liverpool, Bill Shankly, said to the manager of Celtic, Jock John Steen, you're immortal now, John.
I do not think she's referencing that.
I think it is. And
as long as you like it.
That has made me like Taylor Swift even more. In terms of, so I'm going to totally defer to you, as I think I did all through this. And say, how do you think this compares? How does it stand up to comparison to other albums? What about the most recent, which is, to make a confession, the only one I really know well at all, which was, is it just because it had poets in the title?
The Tortured Poets
Department, which I really liked, actually, although I never listened to how many tracks was it in the extended version?
I think 31.
31, I did not listen to that. But what I listened to, I really liked. This is a different mood. This is there's more upbeat stuff here. It's more poppy, I think. How do you think it compares with other?
Honestly, I think personally this is one of her strongest albums. I know it's controversial to say. I think a lot of people are very hot and cold right now. They either 100% love it or really hate it, which I thought was interesting. But the sound of it very much brings me back to 1989 when she first got into pop music. And I honestly love the sound. I love that she sounds happy, and it definitely resonates with who she is right now. The Tortured Poets Department was a beautiful album, but obviously very sort of sad and somber. But this is definitely like represents her life now and what she's going through and experiencing, which I think was very sweet. I love the album. There obviously, I do have a few critiques maybe in terms of lyricism. There were some lyrics which I didn't like, maybe a bit cringy, a bit Gen Z.
Oh, what was, because we didn't discuss that. I remember
eldest daughter. Eldest daughter.
Oh, it's eldest daughter. It's the cringy opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't love that. I mean, I know that, and I don't think it's necessarily that big of a criticism. It's just personally, I hate hearing sort of internet language in a song. But the song itself is very impactful and beautiful, but the beginning puts me off, I will say.
Okay, well, that's not really outrageous.
Yeah.
I don't think Swifties should come after you for that.
Oh, yeah.
They might come after me for this, which is that my criticism, I like the album, but my biggest criticism was, Taylor, could you not just be a bit more musically adventurous? Surround yourself with maybe you are surrounded by really good musicians, but just something a bit more original. I found it too much of she's delegated some of the musical arrangements, whatever, to someone else in the studio, or I don't know, maybe she doesn't operate like that at all. But it's too much synthetic pop for me in terms of just the music. Now, I would just love to hear, I don't know, a jazz musician kind of wander into the studio when she's recording an album and play something and just take it to a different place. I was talking about Joni Mitchell before, and she did that. She actually produced a whole lot of jazz albums herself. But I would love to do that. But on the other hand, maybe I should listen to some of the older albums, because I did actually put on a track from 1989, and I thought,
Welcome to New York.
Welcome to New York. I thought, this is what I mean. This is musically a bit more, although actually I think it's the same producer, is that right?
Yeah. From 1989 and Reputation, I believe, were the same producer she has now. She seems to have sacked Jack Antonoff basically at the moment, which I think is funny. He's more her producer for her more slow albums, would we say?
Right.
But she's gone back to her older ones for the pop sort of theme, I would say.
All right, fair enough. That's her prerogative. I don't think we should bother with giving things, how marks out of 10 or anything like that, for any of our reviews. We think this is an interesting album. I think it's lyrically interesting. I'm not sure it's as lyrically interesting as the last album.
Torture Poets Department.
What do you think?
It was a slightly pared back on lyrics, maybe because Taylor is known for sort of taking criticism. Really, she does take it on, and she really listens to it. The album was shorter, the lyrics were more simple and pared back. There were definitely so many Taylor lines, like, I pay the check before it kisses the mahogany grain. Very Taylor. She loves to do that. But there were also some lyrics that were just simple and sweet. I don't mind it so much, but I am kind of a lyrics person. I do love to hear some fun poetic lyrics, as I'm sure you do too as a poet.
Well, yeah, although I would say my favourite musician, artist, songwriter is Bob Dylan. And there were albums of Dylan's where he kind of dropped all that really cleverness and just became really simple and straightforward. Songs like Lay Lady Lay. He rediscovered some of that complexity again later, but never quite had the magic of his earlier work. Anyway, that's a long-winded way to say that it's fine if you're lyrically gifted, really clever with words. I think there's a danger of being really clever with words, is that you can live too much in your head, and in music you've got to live in your body, in your heart, your soul. And as long as Taylor Swift keeps that in a balance there, where it's not just cleverness, but it's fine to be clever.
Yeah, she is very smart, I will say. I think, this may be controversial, one of the best lyricists of our time.
One of the best lyricists of our time, you heard it here.
Yeah, officially. I also just want to shout out really quickly, at the end of The Life of a Showgirl, which I think is really cute, at the end, whenever you hear, it sort of sounds like the Eras Tour, and they're saying, I love you, Taylor, that's our show, good night. They actually use the applause sound from her last Eras Tour show. So I think that's a really sweet way to end off.
It is. It was just clap, and then that would be a nice way to end. Anyway, we'll think about this. We'll think of really clever ways to open the podcast, to end the podcast. But for now, we're going to edit down his 25 days of recording into 25 minutes. No, honestly, we've done this in one stretch. We might have to edit a couple of Esme's swear words. But apart from that,
I have not sworn.
That's good night from me. No, and anyway, we haven't thought of a way to end this, so just say thank you for listening to family reviewing, which we might change the title, who knows?
Yeah. I think it's
Do
cute.
you think we should put the in brackets?
Oh, yes, I like